250,000 people a month are searching for one AI agent. Users gave it 350,000 stars in a few months. Sounds like you'd be mad not to use it.
Right? It seems like everyone is out there trying to build their business on AI agents such as OpenClaw and Hermes. But we've actually put it through its paces.
Yeah, my honest take, most of you don't need any of it. Let me show you why. I spent nearly a decade working with AI, building it, breaking it, and learning what actually works. So I'll be calling BS on the bad advice.
And I'll be keeping it human as we go up in the AI.
I'm James.
I'm Tanya, and welcome to Up in the AI. Right, James. So, what is it that people are going to get out of today's episode?
By the end of this one, you'll know what these AI agents actually do, whether Hermes or OpenClaw are worth it, and whether they're not, and you should just really use Claude and skip the lot of them. We've also got this awesome free guide, Are Autonomous Agents Right for Me? Walks you through whether you should buy an agent, use one, or skip it. The link will be in the description below. And of course, we'd always ask, if you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe.
Awesome. Okay, but before we get into the meaty part of the podcast, we're going to do our favorite round, which is our BS or no BS round. So if you're new, what happens, I'll ask James a series of questions. His job is to say BS or no BS and give us a little bit of a reason why. Are you ready, James?
I'm ready.
Great. All right, first one here. You need OpenClaw or Hermes to run AI in your business.
Yeah, that is well and truly BS. I think the thing you need to think about here is the thing you really need is the model. This is, if you take the car analogy, the engine in the car. What Hermes and OpenClaw do is actually make that into a self-driving car. And as we know, only a tiny percentage of people have self-driving cars. Only a tiny percentage of people really need self-driving cars at this point.
All right. I love the analogy. Great. Okay, 2, Hermes self-improves, which means it gets smarter the more you use it.
You're going to disagree with me on this one. I know, because we've
Well,
already
yeah,
argued about it.
It was a very calm argument, I would say.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Just a discussion. So BS for me, because I don't actually think it gets smarter. I just think it becomes more efficient. Do you want me to explain more? Should we leave it there for later?
Let's leave it for later, because I think we are going to dive deep into these. That's good enough for now. Okay. Number 3, building your own AI agent gives you a competitive edge.
I think building an AI agent gives you a competitive edge. It's BS to think that you have to build your own. Like anything software, tech related, 9 times out of 10, it's better to not recreate the wheel. And I know this from personal experience.
Yeah. Okay. 4, these agents are safe to connect to all of your business tools.
I suppose this comes down to what these agents are. If we're just talking about OpenClaw and Hermes, I'd say no. I say that's BS. But there are more enterprise grade agents out there, which I guess we're getting to later in the episode as well.
So wait, that was a BS or no BS?
That was BS.
It was a BS. Cool. All right, last one then. Number 5. For most operators, the boring stack, Claude plus NAN, beats the shiny agent.
I think this is the first and only true statement. No BS. For me and for most people, I think the average person will get way more use out of just getting used to Claude than trying to create an agent that works autonomously in the background.
Brilliant. And this is a great segue into, I guess, what we're going to talk about today. We're going to start from the basics so that everyone is on the same page. And the basic really question is what an AI agent actually is. So for what I understand, and myself included not so long ago, there is a lot of confusion about what an AI agent is. So what is the difference between a chatbot, an automation, and an agent?
Yeah, so I think the word agent gets thrown around everywhere. Like, for instance, GBTs were really the first agents out there. To me, they're not an agent. I think to be an agent, your AI has to ingest information and then make its own decision regarding that information.
Mhm.
So I think the easiest way to explain it is maybe to kind of talk about the evolution, if that's all right.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So obviously, we've had monolithic automations for a long time. We've seen Zapier, Make.com, and NA10 started to lead the way with AI. And inside of NA10, I don't know, a couple of years ago, they produced an agent module or an agent node. And what that did is it turned a monolithic automation. So monolithic automation is something that's like it always goes down the same line and does the same thing. You can have
Mhm.
some variable logic, yes, no logic, or whatever that might be, but it doesn't deviate from its projected path, right? But then if you place one of these NA10, this is what I believe was the first agent, AI agent out there. You jam one of these NA10 nodes in there, it could take information from the automation and then it could call tools and thus have a much more dynamic experience. And then then NA10 took it a step further and they actually allowed an orchestrator agent to be able to call mini agents. So suddenly you could receive a call and the agent could decide what happens with that call, what information needs to be collected, what agent needs to be called. Is it a sales call? Is it a client call? So this is, a level of autonomy. But
Mm,
obviously with NA10, the autonomy is still constricted to that workflow.
mhm,
Now we kind of fast forward to the likes of OpenClaw and Hermes. You are able to set it a goal
mhm,
and it will find its own path to getting there, right? So again, you
mhm,
think about a chatbot is it's all about you. You're going to ask it questions. It's going to give you answers. It's not doing anything. It's not actually, performing a task. If we go to the old cooking metaphor, your chatbot is like a cooking show. You're seeing the recipes, but you're not actually making any food. Then if we have a look at like Claude is very much a companion. There is a certain amount of autonomy that can be gained by using routines, but it's not true autonomy like you would describe an AI agent. This is like you're a chef, or potentially even a kitchen. These things are run for you, but you're still there. You're still part of that business, right? Now,
mhm.
Hermes and OpenClaw, you just tell it where you want to go, and then you leave it. As long as you've given it a certain amount of access, it's maybe got its own email, could have its own social media account. You might say, I want you to create an Instagram account on this topic that gets 100,000 followers, right? And then
Mhm.
you give it the tools, and then you let it go. You let it analyze. You let it create the content. It doesn't even need you in the feedback loop. Um, Suddenly, that is what we're seeing as true autonomy. Um, but again, having used these things myself, they stop so much. Like it's very hard to actually go right. You go just do your thing without me. Right?
Mm.
Very much like an overambitious intern. Like it thinks it can do everything, but it really needs a hell of a lot of guidance.
Okay, cool. So I think I'm getting it, but I do know there's a little question that's kind of like floating around here that I often get asked, and I think that I'm still asking a little bit. So imagine like I'm a business owner and I'm like, but look, I use Claude like every day. Isn't that,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the things that you mentioned that it could do, isn't that kind of like an AI agent?
Yeah, kind of. But think of it like this: Claude is like a car. You sit in it, you make the decisions, you decide where you're turning. The
Mhm,
engine is the model, and the bells and whistles are things like Claude Code and the desktop app. These are in technical terms, this is what's called the harness, but that's like the chassis of your car. An agent is like a self driving car. You still need Claude as the engine, but you don't decide where it turns. You give it the destination and it makes its own way there.
Okay. All right. So a couple of things in there, right? So you've mentioned model, which I think is an
Yep.
important thing to talk about, and the harness. So can you explain what those just yeah, what a bit more about what those two things are?
Um, so think of the harness as like the software that drives the model. So
Okay.
I don't want to go too much further than like if you look at ChatGPT,
Yeah.
that interface that you have, the web interface, that's a harness, right?
Right.
And then OpenClaw is actually a harness. Hermes is a harness. These are just pieces of software that run AI. That's the simplest term.
Okay. Mhm.
And then models, again, don't want to go into the too tech part of it, but all you need to
Mhm.
know is there's a provider. So OpenAI is a provider, right? And the
Mhm.
models that sit underneath it are ChatGPT 5.5. And you're
Mm.
seeing these models are upgraded. Typically, so like if we have a look at Anthropic, I feel as though their naming conventions are much easier. They have kind of like three models. It's Haiku, quick
Mhm.
and easy and cheap. Sonnet is your everyday model, and Opus is like your coding, complex thinking model. And then they have
Mhm.
a numbering system that kind of shows how that model is evolving. Right now, we're in Opus 4.8, it's the latest release.
Got you.
So the number goes up as they make the improvements.
Okay. All right. That's all making a lot more sense now. So I think the next question is really like, let's look at the harness. So let's compare them, right? So we've got some really popular ones out there, which we know
Yep,
came out earlier in the year that kind of changed a lot of things.
yep,
OpenClaw. Then subsequently, others have come through. Hermes is one, which I think we're going to talk about today.
yep.
But then there are some others as well, which some of the big enterprise companies like Google are doing, like Scout, right? So
Microsoft, yeah.
Microsoft. Yeah, that one. Get them all mixed up. So let's talk a little bit about, let's start comparing the harnesses then, because that's what we're here, right? These are the AI
Yeah.
agents. So, all right, let us say, right. So, all right, let's just compare those three: OpenClaw, Hermes, Scout. What are each one generally good at? What is their like, yeah, superstar powers?
Well, the original power was the ability to talk to agents through any interface. This was OpenClaw's superpower.
Yeah.
And most people used it with Telegram because Telegram has a really good bot setup system.
Mm,
Um, what you could do, it was look, OpenClaw was originally Claude bot. It was very much modeled off Claude. So it has skills, it has memory, all of these things that make Claude great,
mm,
are baked into OpenClaw. And then it's just like, okay, I can speak to it. If I link up, something like 11 Labs, I can get it to speak back to me. And that was it. To be honest, it was a lot of hype, a lot of flashiness, but we used it, right? And it
yeah.
was hard. It was so inconsistent. And it's probably got better since we stopped using it. But
Mm.
how long did you use it for?
I went all in for a number of
Couple of,
weeks, more than a month, maybe
yeah, I
four
was
or
thinking
five
it was close
weeks.
to for me, it was a couple of months. And I never really I mean, I had a lot of fun and it did a lot of cool stuff, but it never did anything revenue generating.
Mm,
Never really saved me any time. Every time it's something, like at one point I had it researching and reaching out to cold leads, but it's like that worked for like 3 days and then stopped and then could never get it back working and I could never work it out. And it's
mm,
like I ended up doing all of my work with OpenClaw on Claude
mm.
because when you talk to OpenClaw to actually do it, sometimes it will tell you it's doing it and just not do anything. So we were supposed to talk about OpenClaw's strengths, but I think I just said all of its weaknesses. Um, okay, so Hermes. Let's move on to Hermes. So the reason why the AI posse really like Hermes is because it's much more consistent than OpenClaw, and it's obviously got this feature which we should talk about, where it quote unquote gets smarter. What this really means from a technical standpoint is that it's got a very, very good harness that takes the things that you're saying to it and builds a really beautiful memory system. So if we're talking about doing LinkedIn, let's say, and getting Hermes to do comments and find leads and all of those kind of things, by the time you've spent a week working with Hermes, the second week is like 2-3x more efficient. People feel as though that's it getting smarter. The truth is, the brain is still the brain. So if it's running off Opus 4.8, the brain hasn't got any smarter. It's picked up some skills, learnt, remembered skills. So I don't know. Do you want to challenge me on the smarter? You use Hermes a lot more than I do.
Well, I can tell you it was like, again, I think I know people that have made OpenClaw work and work for them.
Yeah.
I haven't seen what they've done, but that's what they tell me. And so, yeah, maybe OpenClaw has some redeeming things that's been going on, and it's got a still big community following. But I know
Yeah.
that the conversation we had that one Friday where I was like, deep breath, I'm going to go back in. And then you were like, well, why don't you try Hermes? And I was like, oh, yeah, I could do that. And all right, I had an iffy few hours where, some things happened. I was like, this is different. But then after that, it just worked. It was like, and it's continued to work. All
Yeah.
those little bugs and things that you were saying with OpenClaw, like just the morning report was so difficult to get it to do consistently and then
Yeah.
retrieve the information and keep the format the same or whatever. And Hermes just seemed to like get it. I don't know. I don't know how. I can't explain it, but it just worked. I think I think I was lucky that everything is learning. So I took a lot of
Yeah.
information when I was, I did a lot when I was building with OpenClaw, and like you with Claude, I was able to take all of that and then give it to Hermes. But what it was able to do was just something phenomenal. And in terms of like how I wanted it to behave, so all of the kind of .md kind of file, like I gave it sort of thing, it really got it. And it seemed to self-learn. It seemed to have its own kind of really its own kind of brain where it would do things. And I feel like it does get smarter. I feel like it's a genuine, since it's come into my life, it has really helped me tremendously in all areas of my life. And I do have an argument. I do think it is that, yes, for it to evolve and get smarter, you are to give it more knowledge and information and
Mm.
experience and time over iteration to get things better. But isn't
Yeah.
that what getting smarter is, right? That's what I would say, like with my son, who's 3, if I locked him up in a dark room, nothing would happen. But if I give him experiences and I share knowledge and we talk stories and, correct him on things, like that's how he's and getting smarter, in my opinion. Like that's the building of an intelligence. So that's my thoughts on it.
So here you go. I'll debunk that. All right. So yes, you're
Love it.
right. If you lock a human in a room with no stimuli, they're not going to grow, right? But
Yeah.
when you give a human stimuli, let's say your son, teach him how to play tennis, right?
Uh-huh.
When that's happening, we've got neurons that are firing, brain connections that are building, hand-eye coordination is getting better, understanding the rules, blah blah blah, right? Now, you then chuck him into badminton, right? He's not going to start from the same spot he did with tennis. He's evolved. You'll still have to
Yeah.
teach him the rules,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's the bit that AI does, right? That's what AI is great at rules. But
Right.
he has developed hand-eye coordination, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to AI, there's none of these new connections formed. So obviously, there's no AI is going to play tennis or badminton. But hypothetically, for the analogy, like they would be starting from complete scratch again
Mm,
because it hasn't got smarter. It's just learnt everything about tennis, so then it can regurgitate everything. But badminton is different.
mm. Yeah, okay. I'm getting that.
Hey, I might not be right. Maybe it is. I mean, we know that the counter argument to this is AI has been doing some weird and wonderful things on its own. I do wonder whether these are like media blasts and they're actually completely um, engineered by humans. Like I think what was it called? The OpenClaw Maltbook,
Oh,
created
yeah.
the Reddit for AI agents, and then they started just posting to each other. Um, But I believe that there were just humans driving that from behind. I don't think that that was a truly automated thing, but it might have been. Every now
Mm,
and then we see this creativity that AI does that can't be explained in, traditional ways.
yeah, yeah. So, okay. Um, thank you. You've given us kind of an overview. So, did we talk about Scout? I
No,
feel
not
like that
yet.
one dropped. We haven't talked about that yet?
No.
Okay. So this is an interesting one because this is not the other two are open source, aren't they? Right? You can go, you can
Yeah.
take this code and you can build your own AI agent. This is a
Yeah.
service that's being provided to you by an enterprise company. So talk a little bit about Scout and what that's good at and what do you think is maybe the benefits of using this versus an OpenClaw or Hermes?
Yeah, this came onto my radar quite recently, actually, and it's in beta. I haven't been able to get my hands on it to test it. What I know is this is Microsoft's play at enterprise grade autonomy, right? So
Hmm.
we know with enterprise, you're never going to get true autonomy. No employee has true autonomy. Not even C-suite, CEOs. Everyone is managed by somebody up above, whether it be the ultimate shareholder or you get it, right?
Yeah.
But what this is a play on security. So anything under the Microsoft ecosystem is instantly more secure than anything open source.
Right.
And they've got to reach certain cybersecurity ISO standards. They've got to have all of their legals, terms and conditions in play.
Mm.
I've seen a couple of videos about it. It looks to be heavily guardrailed, but much like what we saw with Fable being heavily guardrailed as well for the 2 days that it was available.
Yeah.
It's this is what people want, and so the future for the non AI people, not us, not the people that are out here testing, learning, wanting to see what the unrefined product is like.
Hmm.
The likes of Scout will win out because these huge multi-million-dollar enterprises are obviously who are already with Microsoft are obviously going to continue and use a Microsoft product. That's the
Absolutely.
reason Microsoft has survived this long. It's most of its products are not as good as the alternatives out there, but it has a complete suite and it's all interlinked with the highest security standards.
Mm.
And yeah,
No, but wait, what is Scout built out of though?
oh, there's OpenClaw, and did I not say that? They
Okay.
took OpenClaw, the
Yes.
concept of OpenClaw, and then they built it out using that technology.
Interesting. Okay. So this is when you're going back when we did our BS on OBS, talking about, would I, safe for Hermes and OpenClaw to integrate with all my business tools. So this is maybe talk a little bit about that then. So what are some of the reasons why you might not want them to do that?
It's been loads of horror stories. The most well-known one was the Facebook employee that had trained it to successfully manage all of her emails, flagging the things that were that needed her and dealing with the rest. And I
Hmm.
think she gave it quite strict instructions, OpenClaw, to make sure that she's constantly hitting like inbox zero or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it decided whether it was a bug. Effectively, some people say like, okay, it decided that the easiest and cleanest way to have inbox zero was just to delete everything. But it did just, it literally got rid of it, like absolutely terminated it. All of these files, all of these emails lost. And
Sure.
that's the danger. So
Yeah.
my agent, which, as you know, I'm building my own, which is
Yeah.
much slower than just booting up Hermes. Like Jimmy, I call him, he has all of his own accounts, right? So I'm not
Mm.
really worried. Like I gave him, I literally created bought a license in Google Workspace, gave him his own email. He's got his own social media account. So very little of what he does is going to be touching or logging in as me. He
Hmm.
might be working on my things, but again, much more like an employee. I'll be handing things to him and he'll be handing them back. It won't be like, here you go, here's my emails, go for golf.
Yeah. And thank you for your guidance. Like I followed suit with that. I still have an issue with one of the things that really kind of stood out to me with Hermes is and there'll be people out there that'll be like, and you would be like, I know how to do this. But one of the things I gave it its own email account and I said, okay, cool. And then I was like, I want you to draft an email to this person. But that it took it as soon as you say, draft an email, it would just send it. I was like, no, I want you to give it to me first, and then I want to approve it, and then you send it. And no matter how many times we wrote in, like Claude and I wrote in the do not miss this step, it was like, no, Tanya has asked me to do this thing. I'm interpreting it as send it, and I'm going to do whatever I can. So even when we had to actually disconnect, like had to put a firewall up on the VPS that would literally block it, because it would still, no matter, it was like, Tanya said to do this thing. And every time I asked it, like, what are your instructions about this? Like, you're meant to be reading from here. And it's like, my instructions are this. And it created its own. I was like, no, that's not it. So yeah, maybe this is what you're talking about, smarter. Because after about a couple of hours, I was like, it would not have taken me this long to get an intern or anybody to understand before you send it. You give me the draft to approve. Like, so maybe that's what you mean when it's not smart. But I think there's going to be a few people out there who do know about AI that would be laughing, saying, I can figure that out for you. Okay, so
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back. Let's get to the heart of the question then, right? Like the heart of the issue. Do you actually need one of these, right? Or can you just very successfully do what you kind of want it to do with something like Claude?
Yeah. I don't think 99.9% people need an autonomous agent. Could you argue that a business could use something like a support bot as an agent? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, okay.
I think where I went wrong, potentially you as well, mainly because you were guided by me, with OpenClaw was trying to give it everything. I want this, I want this, I want this shiny object, I want all of these things.
Yeah.
I think to do it over again, I would have one very rigid set of criteria for each agent, whether that be OpenClaw or Hermes. So it's like your
Yeah.
job is to manage support tickets. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't touch anything else. I'm only giving you the appropriate connections for that. Good, great. Your job is to analyze marketing and give me stats and presentations, nothing else. I don't even want you to analyze and create content, just this thing, right? And so that leaves me with the easy fence sitting answer is the ultimate best approach for those that have the money, the time, and the technical know-how is to build hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
You're using Claude as your operating system, your companion. I always call it my companion, right? I sit there and I do work with Claude. Yeah, I leave it. I build a plan, leave it to go, and I come back and I iterate that plan. I review that plan.
Yeah.
But I'm still working with it. And then you have, I would always, knowing what I know about Hermes now, I would have Hermes as the more orchestration agent, the one that knows a little bit more and that directs the many different open claws. I think that's probably
Mm-hmm.
the best setup. And then feeding all of that in through your Claude interface, so you're managing Hermes through Claude.
So is that the simplest setup that you would say that most business owners or businesses need?
No, I don't think that's simple. I
Oh,
think
okay.
the simplest setup is Claude Cowork. Use
Yeah.
the desktop app, have connectors and MCPs, and just start building skills out of your repetitive tasks. Potentially,
Yeah.
then a little bit later, set up schedules. That's it. For the average person, Claude Cowork is as far as you ever need to go. You don't even need to go to Claude Code.
So is in Claude Cowork, is that, so a project is like a workflow? Is that how you set it up?
It, no, I mean, it's the same as code, right? So you have your folder on your computer. Your folder might be, like marketing team.
Hmm.
And then inside of there, you've got your Claude.md file that defines the persona. You can have an agents folder and you can have multiple sub agents in there for the different things that you want to do within your marketing team. And then you have skills for those agents to run
Yeah.
to complete the task. And then schedules can prompt these skills to be run automatically. So just
Got you.
it's running off the files on your computer system.
Yeah. Okay. And then this is where, like, they don't call it connectors anymore, do they? You have to go find it and customize or something. But that's when you can have those integrations and you can connect it to things like Slack and your emails and your
Yeah.
calendar and all of that. And it's got that kind of guardrails so that you've got a bit more surety that it's not going to go off and, delete all of your email account or something.
Yeah, like they are called connectors. They used to be just MCPs, but I don't think people knew what MCPs were, so they called it connectors because it's easier to understand. And yes, you're right. It's inside of Customize. There, inside of Customize, you can do plugins, connectors, and skills. Plugins are like a series of skills and connectors all intertwined.
Okay.
And the other good thing about Cowork is it's sandboxed.
Mm,
So they intentionally make it very difficult for you to do anything outside of that project filing system.
yeah.
Cowork has more flexibility. You can be in one system and you can say, "Hey, go look at my downloads,"
Mm,
right? So it has a little bit more peripheral vision. Cowork is just boom. It's just this, and so you got a lot of safeguards in that respect. It's sandboxed is the
mm,
terminology.
mm. Yeah. And it's very important, especially when you're starting to use something for the first time. Like, I think one of the points that I'm sure you've mentioned already, but I know we both agree on, is that going back to the kind of case or argument against making your own or creating your
Mm,
own is that it's time and
yeah.
experience. And I think that's what co-work really shrinks. It's safe, so you can't really make too much of a horrendous mistake, and it's a great place to start to learn and figure out, how to automate certain things or make things work with an AI. So if we were to get quite more specific, we work with mostly, online educators like coaches and consultants. So for them, what do you think is like the starting point? Like, what is it that they should start to automate first?
That's a good question. So I think this comes down to the business question. Where's their biggest blocker? We talked about the seesaw many occasions. Most people are demand constrained. As you solve that, then you become supply constrained. You solve that again, you need more clients, you're demand constrained. Where should they start? Um, Most people should start with their sales pipelines, in my opinion. And if you're talking specifically about autonomous agents, I think the first place that you could potentially deploy one with nice lot of guardrails is by becoming or creating, sorry, an AI SDR, an AI setter, and an autonomous agent that is actually going to be part of your sales team that's going to work to qualify leads, get them booked in with you as the human.
Okay, so is there any risk there? I know we've talked a little bit about it, but is there any real risk there for them to like connect their data? You're talking about sales pipeline, right? That's data. Is there any risk for them to do that? And how do they stay safe with that?
Yeah, there is risk. Of course, they could delete it all. I would, in most cases, be running read-only APIs. So a connector, an MCP, is essentially just using APIs. APIs connect two pieces of software together. So
Mhm.
in this sense, your harness, your OpenClaw, is being connected to, let's say, your CRM, go high level. So you can give it a load of read-only access and then very limited write access. So you might allow it to create an opportunity or add a note to an opportunity, maybe move an opportunity, but beyond that, I wouldn't give it too much more. Just give it exactly what it needs, the most minimum lean version of what it needs to do its job.
Alrighty. So outside of sales and the sales pipeline, what else do you think is something for them to focus on?
Well, most people have issues with administrative tasks, right? So, anything from handling calls, writing up notes, meeting transcripts. Um, there's a lot to be said about a really good EA, although the AI
Mm.
version of it.
Yeah, there is a stat actually that I saw this week where it says coaches and consultants lose on average 30 to 50% of their hours to admin. Now I feel like that's echoed through the clients that we work with too. That seems to be like the high paying return. But a good setup can give you back around 8 to 15 hours a week. So depending on your hourly rate, that could end up being about $1,000 per week back to you, right? As the coach or the consultant. And that's pretty huge.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you're seeing those kind of returns across the board with AI.
Mm.
Um, this is a wake up call for anyone that is not dabbled in AI yet. These people that are doing it are having those types of efficiency returns. So
Mm.
they are going to outperform you, even if they're not as good at coaching, even if they don't have the 20 plus years of experience in the awesome frameworks.
All right. That's been great. Now we're on to a quick fire questions. So, very short answers, one word if you can. But let's just see how we go. Actually, first one, OpenClaw or Hermes, one word.
Hermes,
Yes. Okay. Not biased at all. All right. Next one, build your own or just use Claude.
Claude,
Okay. Three, the most overhyped agent feature of 2026.
oh, overhyped. I think the whole Telegram thing was overhyped. I mean, it's cool, but what did we do? We built command centers so we could use it better. So yeah,
Okay. Four, one task you would actually trust an agent with right now.
handling support tickets,
Hmm, fun. Five, one task you would never let it touch.
doing payments.
Yeah. All right, last one. Will autonomous agents still be a buzzword in 12 months' time?
A buzzword, yes. The buzzword, no. I think we will be um, general intelligence by then.
There, you heard it, everyone.
AGI.
Wow. What a world. I can't get my head around it. Alrighty. So I think this is a great place to wrap it up. I mean, today we've talked about AI agents, OpenClaw, Hermes, even Microsoft's version of called Scout. And I think what we've really kind of come boiled down to, and the question for this was, do you really need the shiny tool agent or do you just need a really good system?
Yeah, the bottom line is an agent isn't a strategy, it's a tool. Most of you already have what you need. What's missing is the method around it.
Yeah. So if you want to know whether an agent is right for you, you can go to our Are Autonomous Agents Right for Me guide, and the link will be in the description below.
The future isn't chasing every new agent. It's knowing how to orchestrate. We've said very little about our AI orchestration program this episode, but that's what the future is. It's about orchestrating AI,
Mm,
orchestrating the right tools, the workflow, the people, the processes. You
mm.
need to own the method, not the model.
Yeah. And if you are interested to know a little bit more about the orchestrator method that we're talking about, you can jump into our free school community, which is school.com/make money with AI. Free to join. Come in, DM, introduce yourself. You can talk to James and I, ask questions. We'd love to hear. We're here to help. And my always point is don't. If you're going to do this, don't just listen to the podcast. Don't just join the community. Take action because that's what's going to really get you staying ahead of the AI curve.
Exactly that and subscribing. So you see us in our next episode. We'll see you there.
Yes, we'll see you up in the AI.